How are you?
Fidel.
Good, good. Yeah, we were in Florida, so that's why. Oh, I know her very well. We're very good friends. Actually, we toured Israel, like we did a tour years ago. I'm very good friends with Lucy and Rich. Yeah. Yeah, we usually, when we're here in St. Augustine, we usually stay a night with them. Oh yeah, we're very good friends. And actually, it's so is it alright, like Lucy phoned you, like if I share about 4 or 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay. It's a little bit about it, right? Okay, are we ready? Okay,
All bearers, please. מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לו אכסר, בנאות שירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במקלי צדק למען שמו, עם כי אלק וגצל מוות, לא ירא רעה כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm, a psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you to all of you on the internet for tuning in. My name is Rabah Mas from Congregation Shaarey Zedek here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And it's my great honor to officiate the funeral service for Rita Chabelski Z of blessed memory, who was also known to the Jewish people by her Hebrew name, Rita Chabelski Z. She was the daughter of Marcus and Sala, blessed memory, the wife of the late Jack Manusovich of blessed memory, later on the wife of Boris Eric of blessed memory, later on the wife of the late Michael Chabelski of blessed memory. She was the mother of Lucy and Richard Lipari, the grandmother of James Conti, the great-grandmother of Isabella, Sebastian, Matteo, and Raphael. Rita passed away on April 22nd after a long and fruitful life at the age of 101. Rabbi Moses Schreiber, a 19th century German scholar, also known as the Khatam Sofer, once met a very old man and asked him the secret of his longevity. "I know that long life is a gift," the great sage said. "Tell me, what exemplary act did you do that merited you these long years?" The old man looked up and smiled. "Actually, I did nothing special. You see, I have a different theory about long life. I stuck to my theory and it worked for me." "And what is that theory?" the great sage inquired. The old man wrinkled his deeply lined face. "Like myself, all my friends went through their share of misfortunes. We all do. They are, however, not here any longer. But I am." "But why?" urged the Khatam Sofer. "That was exactly my question. What is the secret of your longevity? Yes, we all have our troubles, but they didn't break you. You are still alive and in very good health. What is the difference between you and your friends?" "You see," answered the old man, "my friends asked why. I, however, did not." The Khatam Sofer seemed puzzled, but the man continued his monologue. "You see, every time tragedy struck, my friends will ask God, why did it happen? How did I come to deserve this? They will plead and beg the Creator for answers that no mortal mind could understand." And you know what happened? The Khatam Sofer shook his head, careful not to interrupt the man's train of thoughts. What happened is, God said, "Do you really want to understand? Come, I will show you." And so, God took them to a place where all the mysteries of life are revealed. The man continued, "I, on the other hand, was not so curious. And if I was, I did not turn to God and ask why. Rather, I accepted what happened." Then the man's face began to glow. And do you know what? God never invited me upstairs to explain anything. Rita was a Holocaust survivor, and she lived for 101 fruitful years. She was born on Warsaw in 1920. She was in the Warsaw Ghetto with her mother and her sister and all her family. And although she was able to escape in 1939, her family couldn't leave, and they all died in the Shoah. Rita escaped to Russia and had a very hard time adapting to her new life as a refugee. After the war, she met her husband Jack. They met actually at a train sent to bring people back to Poland. They went together to Stettin, and from there they went to Camp Soppel in Berlin, Germany, where their daughter Lucy was born. Jack had a relative in Winnipeg, Samuel Tauber, who sponsored Jack and Rita to come to Winnipeg. And it's interesting that in 2005, the Yad Vashem website listed Rita as deceased. Information provided by her first cousin, who thought that Rita didn't make it after the war, reached Yad Vashem. So everybody thought that Rita was dead. But because of this error, Rita discovered that she actually had a cousin who also survived the Shoah and was now living in California. Rita always thought that her cousin died as well in the Warsaw Ghetto. So after all these years, Lucy took her mother to California to meet her cousin. And amazingly, she discovered that her cousin left Warsaw with a photo album with Rita's family members. All these years she was able to see her mother, her grandmother, and her sister again. So imagine her joy when Lucy was able to make copies of all the photos and make a book for her. So now she could revisit those photos all the time. Rita took the responsibility to attend all the ceremonies of Yom HaShoah, the Holocaust Day, at the legislature building in Winnipeg. And she even went to a conference of survivors in Washington, D.C., hoping to find other relatives, but she never did. Rita and Jack worked very hard here in Winnipeg at Chesed Shelemes. In fact, Rita was the administrator at the Chesed Shelemes for close to 30 years. She retired when she was 75 years old. But despite all the hardships she had to endure and all the suffering during the war, Rita was very compassionate and happy to serve the Jewish community in Winnipeg. She met many people and she always enjoyed life. She took good care of her health, going for walks, exercising, eating well, dressing nicely, etc. She was a classy woman. She didn't have lots of money, but she liked to sew, to knit, and cooking her favorite Jewish recipes. Knishes, corned beef, hamantashen, you name it. She always wished to have a larger family to share experiences and the holidays with them. Rita also volunteered a lot and was active at some local Jewish organizations like Hadassah and Pioneer Women, where she was the president of her chapter. She thought it was very important to support the local Jewish organizations. So, whenever there was a play, a concert, a festival, she always bought tickets to attend those events to show her support. She sent Lucy to Talmud Torah because she believed that Jewish education was fundamental. She was very proud of Lucy's accomplishments. After all she had to go through on her early years in Europe, she couldn't believe the blessing of having a daughter who graduated from a Canadian university. Rita was a very active woman. She liked to go to the theater and to the movies. She put lots of effort to study English. She was very proud of her English. Interestingly, Rita spoke English, Polish, Russian, and Yiddish. She used to come to visit Lucy every winter in New York, where she would take a bus and go to Manhattan, to the museums, and go to the opera. She was a big opera fanatic, by the way. She used to listen to the Met Opera broadcast every Saturday, no matter what. She also liked watching ice skating and the ballet. Once Lucy and Richard moved to Florida, she would also go to spend the winters there with them, and of course, with their black dog, whom she loved. Perhaps the most remarkable trait of Rita was the fact that, despite everything, she never hated anyone. In fact, she had loved to give to everyone. She went through terrible things during her life, but despite all that, she wasn't bitter or angry at the world. Perhaps it was also part of the secret of her long life. She always liked a good joke, and she always smiled to people. Now, to continue honoring the memory of Rita, I would like to invite Reverend Fidel to come to the microphone to say, to eulogize Rita.
Thank you, Rabbi Moss. And I know Lucy and Rich, I know you're watching from St. Augustine, just from Gina and myself, and and from James and Barbara, we love you, and we're praying for you. And you have a really beautiful gathering on a day like today, and you think to yourself, why such a cold day? So unusual. But if you think of Rita and her life and what she endured, you know, being in the Warsaw Ghetto, being hunted by the Nazis, and how she escaped, and yet at the end of life, like as Rabbi Moss said, she always had a smile on her face. She's one of the most pleasant people possible. I was talking to Lucy, and she asked if I would say a few words, and so I won't take long, but I do want to share a little bit about her. We've known her for many years. I just want to share in Psalms 16:15, it says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of one of his saints, Hasid, kind, benevolent, gracious, pious, good person. Thou tellest my wanderings, put thou my tears into the bottle. Are they not in thy book? When I cry unto thee, then shall mine enemies turn back. This I know, for God is for me." Psalms 56:8 and 9. Many tears that Rita cried, but God heard her and kept her. In May of 2006, just a month before Rita's 86th birthday, she made her first and only trip to Israel with Gina and me and a group of 144 from Canada. We came to pick her up for the airport, and she had a little suitcase, tiny little suitcase that didn't even weigh 20 pounds. And I said, "Rita, you need more clothes." She said, "Oh no, this is enough." She learned to live with very little. It was enough for her, and at the age of almost 86, she outdid us, outwalked us. There was a lot of youngsters. Went up to Masada, no problem. Went to the hotel. And Gina and I, knowing how precious she is as a friend, but also as a Holocaust survivor, we took time out of the tour, because I was only one of the leaders, and we took her to the places that she desired to be. We wanted to do, as you know in Judaism, a mitzvah for her. And that's probably the greatest mitzvah, and to be with her, to honor her. Because, as it says, precious in the sight of Hashem is the death of one of his saints, especially one who suffered so much. I also want to acknowledge Barbara Taylor, who's here. She's 96 years old, who is a very close, and James, her son, very close friend. And I want to make mention, in all the hard times, you lose your friends when you get older. And thank you, I believe it's Sharon, you came, you're a friend of the grandson, the doctor, which Rita was very proud of. She always used to say to us, my grandson, he's a doctor. And you think of that. But I want to thank Mrs. Taylor and James personally, because they were the ones that went on a regular basis to visit Rita, when she was at home. And James would take care. I mean, he didn't say much, and he would never look for it, but he'd always take care of her home. And they still have the home now, but it was always taken care of. They shovel the snow, cut the grass. So those are mitzvahs that, God himself will reward you for. And I thank every one of you that came out on this cold day to bear her body, because it's precious. So in all my memories of Rita, I do know that she turned 100, and because many people didn't know her, I thought I have to do something. So I approached B'nai B'rith, and we worked together, and also I'm very active with MINYAN Canada. So we honored her on her 100th birthday at the home, nursing home, and we got a letter written by the Prime Minister, and also I believe it was Terry Duguid and some of the other politicians that honored her. And I would say this, that today is a great honor. It's a great honor to be here, and just to honor this great woman, pious and joyful. How she was able to keep her joy through all that she lived, I don't know. But I commend her, and I look up to her for the life that she led, for and the very essence of her life has been given to her daughter, her grandson, her great-grandchildren. And I just want to finish with reading one more psalm, because that essence is a part of Judaism, is a beautiful faith that she believed in, and I encourage you, her grandson and grandchildren or great-grandchildren that are watching, just embrace your Judaism. It's a beautiful faith, and your great-grandmother did so much to live for and to be proud of. So be proud of your Judaism. Blessed is everyone that feareth the Lord, that walketh in his ways, for thou shalt eat the labor of thine hands. Happy shalt thou be, and it shall be well with thee. Thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine. Rita, you were a fruitful vine. By the sides of thine house, thy children like olive plants round about thy table. Though there was only one, Lucy, you were as that one. Behold, that thus shall the man be blessed that feareth the Lord. The Lord shall bless thee out of Zion, and thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem all the days of thy life. Yea, thou shalt see thy children, and thy children's children, and peace upon Israel. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Rudy Fidel, for those beautiful words. I'm sure it will be appreciated by the family, by everyone who was blessed with knowing Rita. I'm going to continue now with the memorial prayer del Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Ametze Menucha Nechuna Tachat Kanfei HaShechina V'mahalot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezoyer Arakim Mazirim Het Nishemat Het Nishemat Rivka V'nilavat Motel Vesara She'alecha Le'olama Ba'avur Shenu Mitpalelim Yadat Zkarat Nishemata Began Eden לכם בלרחמים, אז תראי וסדר כן אהב לעולמים, הוא צרור בצרור החיים, החיים את נשמתה, אדוני ונחלתה, ותנוח ושלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure. To the soul of Rita Chabelski, who has gone to her eternal home, merciful one, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. Let us all say Amen. And I would like to share with you 2 poems that Lucy and Richard sent me. The first one is taken from the tombstone of the writer Laura Ingalls Wilder. And it says like this: remember me with smiles and laughter, for that's the way I will remember you all. If you can only remember me with tears, then don't remember me at all. And the next one was written by Lucy and Richard, and it's called Rest in Peace. Worry not for me so deep, for I have earned eternal sleep. To you I have finally gone, but nay, I have simply passed on. The Lord above always knows best. He has rewarded me with perpetual rest. Pray my life was less take than giving. The serenity of life is for the living. I, no different from none, cannot be the only one to live a life more than 80. I am simply thoughts and no more. Sad as these thoughts may bring, consolation to me is to meet my King. The Mourner's Kaddish. Gadal ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחי אחון וביום אחון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמר רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה ריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. May God bless you and comfort you. Let us all say amen. So we have one more thing to do at the cemetery before we conclude with this service, and there is an open invitation for everyone here to come forward, pick up a shovel, and to participate in the burial. According to the rabbis, this is an act of true kindness. True kindness, the kindness that we do for people who passed away. And interesting, in Hebrew, true kindness is called Chesed Shelemes, which is exactly what she did for over 30 years in the community of Winnipeg. She gave so much kindness to everyone. Now is our opportunity to repay some of that kindness by participating in the burial. Everybody's invited, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, everyone on the internet, for tuning in. Especially now before Yom HaShoah, What's that? Now before Yom HaShoah. It's just 2 years now.